Congresswoman, thank you for your insight here and also for your tweet yesterday that I think rocketed around the world. It's up on the screen now that the FBI is worried that something might happen to this anti-Biden whistleblower. Seems to be a trend.
I mean, you know, what's crazy, Benny, is when I was sitting there in oversight and listening to Representative Comer really brief us on what had happened. You know, this is something that you would see in a spy movie. It's something that you'd hear about happening with the mob. But the fact is that it wasn't just made up by Chairman Comer. It wasn't made up by me. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is coming from the FBI stating that if the individual was unmasked, they had a credible fear for their life, that they would potentially be killed. And what's even more interesting, Benny, is you see that the left wing is really trying to discredit this informant. It's a human source that's been with the FBI for over 10 years. Someone that's been paid over six figures for other information. And this individual has sourcing that goes back to the Obama era. So as you had pointed out earlier, I mean, this individual has information that Joe Biden, as vice president, received $5 million from a foreign national. Obviously, that's public corruption. This is just adding on to the list of the number of whistleblowers that we've had come forward, in addition to the amount of information that we've received via subpoenaed bank records proving that the Biden family received personal enrichment basically off of selling access to then vice president and what could potentially be President Biden. And so, I mean, it's really egregious what we're seeing here, but it's even more egregious to see what the media is doing and how these three-letter agencies are trying to cover for it.
Can you please talk us through the TikTok of what happened yesterday? So James Comer was able to see the document himself inside of a skiff, and then he briefed you. Can you give us details there?
Yeah, absolutely. So to be clear, this is not a classified document. This is a document that we can talk about. Representative Comer, as well as the staff, saw it. The FBI had redacted the name of the informant that had brought forward the information. It's also alarming to point out that we were also briefed and know for a fact that the FBI had this information previous to 2020. They then stated that this was an ongoing pending investigation, which do you trust the FBI to tell you the correct information? I can tell you as a member of House Oversight, I do not. So who knows really how long that they've had this document, but we anticipate obviously that it goes back to when Joe Biden was vice president. They then refused to hand over the document to Representative Comer. And so on Thursday, we are going to be marking up the bill to bring the contempt of Congress charge to the House floor for the director of the FBI. And that's something that needs to happen. You know, Senator Grassley has had this information. We've been working to expose this and bring these facts out to the American people. And the fact is that the same FBI that's working on this quote unquote investigation that they had previous to 2020, knowing that Biden has essentially been corrupt, is also the same FBI that has no idea who their mole is, that's also leaking information to Hunter Biden about his very own investigation from the FBI. And that mole goes by a codename One Eye. So this is something out of a James Bond flick, unfortunately. But this is happening in our government, and we're working to really hold these directors, these agencies, and these people accountable.
Yeah, you're in power. You're Article 1. You represent Article 1 of the Constitution. They're Article 2. They are not found in the Constitution. There shouldn't be a presidential police force. That's obviously unconstitutional. And yet here they are thumbing their nose at you and your congressional power, meanwhile throwing documents, supposed documents from Donald Trump's files on the floor of his office and taking photos of them and leaking them to the press. Here they are. I mean, what an insult to you.
It's pretty egregious. And I can also tell you that Representative Comer has been actively working with the speaker in order to ensure that this is something that sticks. You are absolutely right. I think previous Congresses might not have acted in the aggressive fashion that we will be responding to and acting with. But, you know, Chairman Comer as leading out oversight, Representative Jim Jordan on House Judiciary, we are going to be very aggressive. And what's crazy, Benny, is everything that they seem to be accusing President Trump of, which, to be clear, they are accusations. President Trump time and time again has proven that they're basically cooking up charges. And I just want to add something too. The same DOJ that is bringing these charges against Trump, has also now charged a whistleblower who brought forward information about the Biden family with international arms trafficking, even though there's no evidence of this arms trafficking taking place. So they are essentially acting as a arm of the Biden administration. And so, I mean, all I can say is a lot of people are frustrated. We're frustrated, but we're going to be holding them accountable. And this is potentially going to be a criminal charge. If this guy doesn't pony up, it's very possible that the director of the FBI could end up in jail.
Okay, can you please expound on that? So that's fascinating. I had another question, but please expound on that.
So
how does he wind up in jail?
So if you're being held in criminal contempt of Congress, if you're refusing to hand over information, I mean, that's what happened to Bannon.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's exactly right. So this would go to the Justice Department, and this would be a major black eye for Christopher Wray. Something else that could be controlled by Congress is his private jet, his budgets. You know, he has his own private plane. He likes to scoot out from any type of hearing to say he has a private jet off to his vacation house. Could you cut that? Would you be in favor of cutting his private jet gas allocation?
Benny, we just had the opportunity to do that last week. And I think that, you know, the whole debt ceiling fight, part of the reason why I was so vocal about why it was a crappy deal, excuse my language, but it was because that funding was left untouched. You know, teach their own, but, you know, we should have done more. And the fact is that now we have the opportunity to do, I mean, I hope he does the right thing. I hope he gives over the unclassified document. I hope that he allows Congress to do their jobs. But if he doesn't, he's going to have to answer for it.
Alan Dershowitz was just on saying that there's a case for impeachment here, and that high crimes, bribery is one of the listed high crimes inside of our Constitution, from the founding document of this country, the document that actually binds you to your loyalty to this nation. And so, this does seem to be DEFCON 9 here. If you are found to have taken criminal bribes from a foreign nation, that's an impeachment. I mean, that's just like on its face an impeachment.
It's not even just that. It's also selling access for your personal enrichment and your family's enrichment while being in office, which it's obviously something that we are looking into on House Oversight. We've received those subpoenaed bank transactions. I actually believe, yes, I do believe that this is grounds for impeachment. And, you know, a lot of people, the general consensus up here was that, you know, we don't want to impeach back to back and it's become a political tool. No, this is not a political tool. Look, I'm not sitting here trying to impeach someone because they're a Democrat. I'm sitting here looking at the facts, having the FBI tell the chairman of House Oversight that they actually are in fear that if their informant is unmasked, that they're going to get killed. I mean, are you kidding me? Excuse my language. It's crazy. And I think that we have more than enough evidence right now to go forward. We just need that last document.
Last question for you. Can you please expound on this "they'll be killed" question? I mean, was that said in the terms of it's a threat? Because you have Tara Reid this morning, you have John Paul Mac Isaacs coming on our show saying they all fear for their lives from the Biden regime. They fear for their lives. Is it a threat?
I don't know the context of which it was stated. This is simply the briefing that we got. And I think it's important for the American people to know that if you have a 3-letter agency telling the chairman they can't unmask someone for that reason, I mean, I take that as absolutely, I mean, that's coming from the FBI. It's not just like made up by someone. There's other witnesses there that heard them say it. And I found it interesting that they didn't even want to comment back to Fox when Fox reached out to ask them about it. But I mean, I think that they realize that, you know, politics is a multi-trillion-dollar impact on money, finances. Obviously, we're dealing with people that have proven records of clearly being corrupt. And so, yeah, I absolutely believe that they're in fear that someone would try to hurt this individual for bringing forward information. And, you know, to my understanding, for grounds for impeachment, you need 2 testimonies. You need 2 people to go on record. Obviously, there's the information. So it's going to be interesting. You know, I think a lot of people didn't realize probably how bad it was with the Biden family and Joe Biden himself. But as we're seeing, it's pretty bad.
Congresswoman, you haven't been in D.C. for like 6 months. It's like it's unbelievable how big of a footprint you have. And we're so impressed and we're so proud of you here in the state of Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to go to the Congresswoman's Twitter page, break the matrix, follow her right now. We'll throw up the account. How else can people help you in your fight?
Well, you can head over to my personal social media. Honestly, I am glad that Elon purchased Twitter, because I can tell you right now, this messaging would not be getting out there if we were still censored. So this is incredibly important. But I think the best way and the best thing that you can do is get actively involved. You know, I can't make calls for action, especially being in an official capacity. But, you know, Benny, you're pretty inspirational when you're telling people how they should get involved and what they can do. So I'll leave that to you.
All right. We break the matrix by following the people who are doing the real work. And Congresswoman Paulina Luna is one of those, one of the good ones, and has just such an incredible career ahead of her. Godspeed, Congresswoman.
Thank you.